Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this week's edition of Encounters, a normal conversation, an ordinary conversation with extraordinary people. Today I'm happy to announce that I'm sitting with Gurpatwant Pannu of the United States of America from New York. He's an advocate there. He works for Sikhs for Justice, and he's a very litigious man. He's a man who has served summons on the Badals of Punjab, on Sonia Gandhi herself, and the Indian Congress itself, and Kamal Nath in particular. This is a man who has studiously studied the evidence of the genocide in November 1984. He's a man who has gone through it with a fine-tooth comb. He's a man who is confident of convictions, but they're convictions in a civil case. So there's going to be no criminal convictions and there's going to be no prison time. But what he can assure us is that the truth will come out. 29 years late, but it will come out in the full glare of public and international media. And the Indian government has no censorship control over it whatsoever. It's a motivation that all of us would love to have, but it's a motivation that Mr. Gurpatwant Singh has taken to its natural conclusion. Mr. Gurpatwant Singh, welcome to the UK, welcome to Sangat Television. We welcome you.
Gurmapari, once again, thank you. And Sangat TV de ਦੇਖਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਭੈਣਾਂ ਤੇ ਭਰਾਵਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ.
Bhai Sahab, you were an advocate in New York, 2000s, early. You decided one day, you found your work boring maybe, I have no idea, but one day you decided that the work you're doing isn't quite fulfilling enough, or maybe, what made you, I'm going to ask you straight, what made you stop being a lawyer for a particular way of just being a defense lawyer? What made you decide, I need to do this?
See, it all depends. I will say that I'll start from Guru. I think every Sikh who follows Guru Nanak and his teachings, from the Akal Takht Sahib from 1984, when the Indian government with 70,000 army invaded and destroyed the place, every Sikh I will say is hurt, and the sentiments are out there.
Indeed. Emotions
are there. We have seen hundreds and thousands of dead bodies, bullet-ridden bodies, the way all it happened. And we all went through that phase. But I think at that time we were like too young. And in November 1984, what transpired after the Indira Gandhi's death, when they took that chance to have a full-fledged revenge and a genocide against one community. So all these things are out there in your mindset. It's already there in your heart when you're growing up with all these scars and when all these pain which you are suffering and the emotions which you see from the families who have suffered. And the survivors. Then comes Guru's grace. I became an attorney in New York. Was just trying to was successful in my practice with the Guru's grace. Was doing very good. I had an office in New York, and then I opened up another one because I was into litigation, federal litigation. Was defending all individuals who are being trying to be deported from the country or charged with any kind of a crimes in our community, or anybody who will not be defended by another attorney. I did those for 3 years. But
so you took on cases that other people
wouldn't take it. Wouldn't take it because of their. They will say that this our reputation will be at stake. Because let's say anybody can do a mistake of carrying a gun or even going through the drug, but somebody has to defend them and bring them back to the right fold.
Indeed.
You cannot just let it go. So 3 years I was like successful. I'm successful even right now with the Guru's grace. But one day we hear the news that Titler is let go. There is no evidence left against Jagdish Titler for prosecution or for charging. Prosecution is different.
This is the
CBI, they didn't even charge him. And this is the name that has been put into our head from the day one, that he is the one who led the death squads in November 1984, distributed money, distributed liquors, and distributed...
Well, he claims, Jagdish Titler did this, he claims that in up until 2011, his name had never been mentioned in relation to what happened in Delhi in 1984.
That's what he says?
Yeah, that's what he says, yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that this titler's name would come up today's conversation. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I'm going to bring you next time a report by PUDCL.
The People's Union of
Yes,
Democratic Rights.
which they did it in 30 days from 1984.
Indeed.
His name is right on the top, that he barged into a press conference held by the Deputy Police Commissioner of Delhi. And
The
he
Deputy
was
Commissioner of Police of Delhi.
of Delhi.
Right.
Yes. Press conference is going on. Indian Express and other top newspaper journalists are there, and it's a witness and it's written.
Right.
They were holding some of the death squads members who already killed thousands and thousands of Sikhs, and he went and tried to get those guys out from the police. And he said that
In front of the media.
in front of the media, this is written after 30 days I'm talking about, and he's saying he doesn't know his name ever came up in 2011. So his name,
He also claims there's no FIRs in his name.
because they are the one who killed Sikhs, who's going to write the FIR? Look at FIRs that has been written against Sajjan Kumar, HKL Bhagat. What happened to those? They are under the tables and they are in the drawers of the police.
So there's no
files.
FIRs for anybody.
There are open FIRs. Hundreds and hundreds of FIRs are available, but those are clubbed together. 106 were killed in Tharlokpuri.
Right.
106 are killed in Mangolpuri by unidentified individuals.
Right.
The FIR didn't name the policeman at that time and everybody, because they were a part of it. When the government is doing mass killing and they are supporting the death squads, who is going to do the FIR? But his name appears at every nook and corner of 1984 Sikh genocide. His name comes right on the top, along with the hundreds of other Congress leaders.
So, with regard to these people, and your claim that they are quite publicly known
Yes.
for being involved, how do you explain changes in government and the parties who are in power in government? We've had coalition governments, we've had a BJP government,
Yes.
VP Singh, Chandrasekhar, people
Yes.
like this, who are not that affiliated with, or if not in direct opposition to the Congress party. What vested interest do they have for not bringing Congress MPs to justice? And what vested interest stops them? Because if they were to do that, would you not think they would destroy the Congress party for at least a generation?
See, why they didn't do that means I cannot speak on their behalf, but I will speak the actions they have taken.
Yeah.
All of us know that thousands and thousands of Sikhs were massacred in the genocidal attacks. There is no doubt about that.
There's no doubt.
No doubt. Now, question comes when Delhi, Kanpur, Bokaro, Haryana, hundreds of cities are in flames. Who did it? Have you ever heard that one religious minority is being hunted throughout a country and they cannot identify anybody? The government is involved, the machinery is involved, political system is involved. For 3 days, it was an open field of killing of Sikhs and the rape of Sikh women. Why VP Singh didn't speak? Why Chandrasekhar doesn't speak? Why Sonia Gandhi doesn't speak? I'll bring it to you right now. On one side, there is a candidate, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh or Rahul Gandhi. Their hands are soaked with the genocidal attacks on the Sikh community from 1984 till today. The other candidate is Modi. His hands are soaked with the genocidal attacks on another community, that's religious minority Muslims. So somebody is going to head at the government right now whose hands are soaked with the mass killings of one religious minority. Do we think
Allegedly.
Allegedly, sure, allegedly.
Yeah.
But do you think the other party is going to bring this issue up, raise this one?
Well,
as long as they are not in the
because,
power.
Because Modi, whether or not he was involved or not is for courts to decide. But that was 2002.
Yes.
So there was still 18 years between what happened in Gujarat
Yes.
and what happened in 1984.
Yes.
But the government of the BJP was at the centre from 1998.
If you look into the BJP government, and I have these documentations which we are trying to retract again through the Right to Information Act, there were hundreds and hundreds of cases which they have withdrawn the names, the individuals who were belonged or who transferred their loyalty from Congress to BJP,
Right.
whose cases against whom the cases were pending, FIRs were lodged, investigations were going on. Those cases were withdrawn by the BJP government, those who were involved in genocidal attacks on 1984. We always say that Congress is directly involved because they were at the helm of the affairs and he led those death squads. But death squads does not only include Congress leaders or Congress workers. Death squads did include the RSS workers and the BJP workers. At that time it used to be called Janata Party or whatever it is.
Yep.
They were involved in that one.
Allegedly. They were allegedly involved.
Of course, we're going to keep on saying allegedly for the next 50 years because they are the individuals who led the death squads, who led genocidal attacks, and who were involved in the mass killing of Sikhs. And they are the one who run the government, they are the one who run the judiciary, they are the one who appoint the judges. Even today.
Okay, so you know this.
Yes.
For yourself. It's not been proved in a court
with
of
documentation.
Law. Of course, to
Yes.
your satisfaction though.
Yes.
What do you do then with that? I know you've started litigation against various people. I said that earlier.
Yeah.
Beyond that, that's a civil case. So beyond that, in say for example you are going to be or you are successful, in the event that you're successful, what happens after that?
See, we are moving forward.
Yeah.
We are moving forward. All we need to see right now, sit back and see how do we define justice? How do we define justice for November 1984 victims?
Yeah.
We are moving to US courts. We have moved Canadian Parliament. We have moved Australian Parliament.
Yep.
Now we are going to move the United Nations.
Right. So that's the next step.
So that is the next step.
Right.
We are going to United Nations and filing a complaint against the government of India and the Congress Party and all those who are involved, for asking them to investigate independently the killing of Sikhs, and the government of India demand an answer from them that this is the biggest democracy in the world. Is this what your democratic government is doing, that you are not even able to file the charges? Prosecution and convictions comes later. There is hardly any case that is out there where charges are being filed. And this is the only country probably in the world where the victims and the families whose near and dear ones were killed, they are asked to come in front, being the witnesses, and bring forward that who killed them. Whose responsibility is this?
They're being asked to investigate you, according to
Yes.
yourself. They're being asked to investigate the crimes themselves.
Yeah, it's a state's responsibility always, whether it is Canada, UK, or USA.
Or India.
Yeah, or India. Of course, I wouldn't talk about India. That it is their responsibility when it comes to the killing of Sikhs. They are making it the responsibility of the Sikh organizations, Sikh advocates, and the advocates who really started running the campaign.
So, with regard to what you say about the UN, what was the process? How does that go about getting involved?
Yeah, there is a specific procedure. It's called 1503 petition.
1503.
Yeah, we present this petition to the specific committee under United Nations Human Rights Commission.
Yeah.
When there is a systematic human rights violations against a religious minority with a pattern,
Yep.
They have the ability to investigate. They did it in the past. So we are trying to invoke 1503 petition against the government of India that there was a consistent pattern, no doubts on the merits. They have no answer. To cover it up, of course, they made 8 committees and two judicial commissions.
Indeed.
For them, even today, the investigation is not even complete. If 30 years after you are going to start an investigation, how would you start? When you did not and could not identify the bodies. The only bodies that are identifiable are one with some form of family members living. The ones who lost everybody. There are like hundreds and thousands of individuals that cross North India every day. That's how populated that country is. The ones in the trains, the one in the trucks, everywhere. You speak to anybody, I go to different countries, I meet different people. You speak to 5 people, 2 of them are affected from November 1984. The rest 3 are affected from June 84 to 2000. The whole community has a scar and emotions.
It's widespread, very,
it's
very
wide.
widespread.
So it cannot be just 3,000. So we are going to go to UN on November 1st with 1 million signatures from the Sikh community and from other communities throughout the world, and trying to invoke 1503.
In the event that you manage to invoke 1503, the UN, can it oblige India to cooperate?
So in the past, we can go what happened in the past. UN, the way it works, the subcommittees, I don't see they have any judicial powers or they have any powers to do anything against a country as of right now, unless the 5 big powers, Russia, USA, UK, Canada, and China, they want to support some kind of a cause, then they bring in something in. In these particular cases, they are going to report, they are going to, hopefully, with Guru's grace, they are going to issue a notice to Government of India that the complaint is pending against them, what they have to say.
Right.
And I'm sure with their all the...
Like a show cause notice.
Yes. And I'm sure with their all their bureaucratic government and all the millions of dollars which only Sikh community have given them, and they made their reserves big time, they are going to spend all their money to not to defend that one, but to point fingers at Sikh community again and calling them militants, terrorism involved. And I can tell you beforehand, they will have no answer that why November 1984 happened, how did it happen, who did it, and what we did. They're going to take that thing away from that and give them some different answers. This will happen. It will be coming. You will see that.
Okay, and on a personal note, if this is successful,
yes,
or if it's not successful, what do you plan on going back to being a defense lawyer?
No, we have dedicated, at least I have dedicated my life to the cause, and we are going to go with the cause.
Even after these?
Yeah,
how many cases?
Depends.
Just for the record, how many cases are pending right now?
You mean in India?
In New York.
In New York, we have Kamal Nath's case pending. We have Congress Party's case pending. We have Sonia Gandhi's coming up.
These are all separate cases?
These are all separate cases. We have in Milwaukee SAD Prakash Badal case pending. Right. We are up to file cases in Canada. I'm already here in UK, and I know exactly what to do, what kind of law to invoke in UK when KPS Gill or Prakash Badal or any of these Congress leaders come. I already...
Really? What would you suggest?
Yeah.
Are you at liberty to say?
Let's keep it until we do something in UK.
Brilliant.
But I just wanted to say something going back. It's all how we define a success. If we are defining a success, can we get convictions against Sonia Gandhi and she will be imprisoned? No. If Kamal Nath, can we get him a capital punishment? No. We have to give a very balanced view and an honest opinion.
Yeah.
But what can we do? We can do 2 things. We can raise awareness amongst the Sikh community, amongst the international community, that we are victims of genocide. Somebody needs to hold our hand, and we need to go to the path of right to self-determination. We can make sure that this genocide attacks that happened to Sikhs in 1984 and it continued, which are continuing till even today, that doesn't happen. That has to stop. We can make sure that Sikhs, a separate religious identity in the world, 5th largest, they are being identified as Sikhs even in the article, even though we don't believe in their constitution. But we wanted to make it a point to the world. These are the things which we will work on.
Article 25?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's enlightening again. So you've got your work cut out. You're not going to be sitting idly for any time soon.
Guru's grace, as long as we are on the go, I don't plan to just take a back seat. We have a plan to move ahead. Success will be defined by the terms, and with the Guru's grace, we are already successful, that we are raising the community awareness, what happened. Why is it important not to follow Prime Minister Manmohan, forgive, forget and move? Why is it not important? Why is it important that we put our foot down this time now, that this doesn't happen again to our future generations?
Well, Amarinder Singh has come out with a comment saying that for you to go after Sonia Gandhi, who was not the president of the Indian National Congress in 1984, that you're malafide in your intentions, and that it's a cheap publicity stunt for you to claim justice for the death of so many innocent people.
I know.
Surprising. I don't know whether you want to comment on him. I can only...
No, I would say everybody thinks about the level they have or the level of crookedness they have achieved in their life. Means we are not out there to get a cheap publicity. If you look into Captain's own history, he calls himself Maharaja, or he's supposed to be a Maharaja. Then he went into Indian Army. So his flesh and blood is for India because he has been fed by them. He saw 1984. Now he sees that Congress is on the downside.
He actually gave, do you know, he actually gave his, he was awarded a Padam Shri, which is the highest civilian honour.
Yeah, that's a news to me.
Is it? Did you not know that? He was awarded that prior to 1984.
Okay.
As was Bhagat Pooran Singh.
Yeah, Bhagat Pooran Singh I know, and our journalist Gurpatwant Singh I know.
Yeah.
But this is surprising.
Also, after 1984, this is not November 1984. This was June 1984.
Yes.
After Operation Blue Star,
yes.
Maharaja as was,
yes.
Patiala, returned his in disgust at the Indira Gandhi's ordering of the army, 70,000 soldiers,
yes.
To attack the Sikhs' highest temple of authority. Bhagat Pooran Singh did the same. Gurpatwant Singh did the same. They all returned their Padam Shris. Amrinder Singh resigned his post as a Congress party member.
Yes, but that's where I was coming.
But today he's a Congress party member.
That's what I'm coming.
Today he's not Maharaja Amrinder Singh, he's Captain Amrinder Singh.
Yes, but we have to understand, the Congress was on the sliding down at that time.
Yeah.
And Maharaja Captain, he has to have some kind of a power.
So
he saw...
publicity stunt.
Yes. I would say that's that opportunity he used.
Yeah.
He used the blood of Sikhs and used the destruction of Akal Takht to his advantage.
As a cheap publicity stunt, maybe?
I would say this is the cheapest publicity. It's not even cheapest. This is the biggest backstabbing you can do to the Sikh Panth, that one who is going through the destruction of Akal Takht, and now he's jumping sides to the Akali. But on the top of it, I'm not sure if the viewers know it or not, the first meeting which he did afterwards with the Akalis, that wasn't that Akal Takht has been invaded by army and 70,000 army came. His first meeting and his first speech was, let's find it out why we got into this situation.
Right.
Why we got into this situation that we got invaded. You can see the psychic of a man. You can see what he belongs to. Few years later, he wanted to have his own Akali Dal. He's not successful into that one. Comes a few years later, he becomes the Congress president again. Comes a year later, 2 years later, he becomes the chief minister of Punjab.
Yeah.
Comes a year later, he's the right-hand man of the same Sonia Gandhi, who is protecting and shielding the November 1984 victims, for which he was supposed to be the voice. And the perpetrators. Not the victims. So he's the same Captain Amrinder Singh who was supposed to be the voice of the victims.
Of the victims, indeed.
So now he's with the organizers, the one who really organized the genocidal attacks on the Sikh community. I wouldn't pay much attention to what Captain says or what any political leader as so far as to say, because they go with the weather. If the weather is rainy, they're going to bring out their umbrella and start collecting votes that way. If the weather is sunny, they're going to go out and still somehow collect the votes.
Votes blocks and
votes. That's what it matters
India
to them.
through and through.
Yeah. They have used the blood of Sikhs. Their hands are full of that. And they sit on that one. And same did Captain, same did Shiromani Akali Dal. Badals, they are on the same boat. You can replace one with another anytime. They're the same thing.
Do you have him in your sights? In a litigious manner. Do you have him in your sights? You've gone against the Badals. There's been a success of sorts in Canada.
Captain is always on our side. We were not able to get hold of him.
Right.
He did come to Canada. Specifically when it comes to a criminal prosecution, we need specific plaintiffs.
Is the Badal case a criminal case?
Yes, in Canada.
That's not civil. That's prison time.
No, we never got some chance to speak on Badal's case.
Right.
Sonia Gandhi's and Congress and Kamal Nath is a civil case in United States because the law is different.
Right.
Canadian allows criminal prosecution. If the alien was a Canadian or a resident, and he has been extrajudicially killed and victimized because of the torture, and if the family members come forward and they can point it out, who did it?
Yeah.
That's it.
then that's a criminal case.
That's a criminal
with
prosecution.
proper prison time.
It will be one day with the Guru's grace. We are very hopeful and we are very positive on Canadian cases. Yes.
I am also. I wish you luck with this.
It's going to be a tough day, but that day is going to come.
Brilliant. I wish you luck. All the luck in the world.
Thank you, ji.
Gurpatwant Singh, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Paji.
again.
And
On behalf
I
of the
just
whole
want,
team.
and I just wanted to bring back the UN petition again.
Yeah.
Now is the time that we come forward and join the justice campaign on behalf of the victims who were not supposed to die on November 1984. It would have been anybody. It would have been me. It would have been you that day. It could have been you.
Could have been
We
any
got
of
to
us.
put ourselves in their shoes, that they didn't belong to any one political party or any political Sikh group. They were all Sikhs, Guru Nanak Sikhs. So we need to come forward, join the justice campaign, and sign the 1984 Sikh genocide petition and be there on November 1st, 2013.
Did you see the petition? Is that online?
It is.
Would you prefer it online, or is it possible for them to
Whatever
do a
is
paper copy?
easy. We wanted to make it a social media campaign. We wanted to
Paper
make
copies
it
available in Godore?
yes, it is available. We are having
Community
it
centres?
everywhere. It will be available everywhere.
Yeah.
You can call, and the best bet is to call Sangat TV and other media groups. You have the petitions over here, and we
Yeah,
are giving
yeah,
your
we do.
numbers only, so that's a central location where the people from the Europe and the Sikh community from the Europe are all throughout the world. Wherever it goes, your reach is, they call you and get it from you.
Brilliant. Once again, what was it? www.
1984, yes, it's genocide.org.
www.yesitsgenocide. Yes?
1984.
1984,
Yes,
it's
it's
genocide.org. O-R-G. Mr. Gurpatwant Singh, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate.
Thank
Waheguru
you.
Ji ka
Waheguru Ji
Khalsa,
ka Khalsa,
Waheguru Ji ki Fateh.
Waheguru Ji ki Fateh.